everyone, welcome to Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. I'm your host, Ceci Diaz, and first I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, rating, subscribing, and spreading the word so far. Your support really means a lot to me, so keep tuning in because I know that you are going to leave empowered and blessed. You are tuning into episode 5, and the title of episode 5 is called Silent Loss. On today's episode of Benevolence, we're going to steer towards a topic that is more serious and is emotionally sensitive. This particular episode is about a topic that doesn't get spoken about often, and I felt in my heart that we needed to hear from someone that has gone through this journey. So today, we're going to be discussing about the silent loss of miscarriages. And today, I wanted to have a conversation with someone who has gone through this difficult journey. But I believe that her testimony is going to bless your life and will bring hope to those who have been through this tough season. She is my best friend of 10 years. She is a woman of God. She's strong. And best of all, she is real. She is real as like you think I'm real. Like in our circle of friends, a lot of people think that I'm real. But they haven't met Pamela. They haven't met you. So without further ado, we have Pamela Bultron joining me at the table today. Hey, girl.
Hi, Ceci. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so glad to have you finally in episode 5. Episode 5 is a very, very special episode because it's halfway.
It's
halfway. If you didn't know, our season, at least for my season, is going to run up to 10. And then we'll be starting season 2. So she is in the midpoint of season 1, and I'm just so honored to have you here with me today. So, but before we begin, I'd like for you to introduce yourself. So go ahead and say a few things.
Thank you so much, Ceci. Like you said, my name is Pamela Bultron. I'm 25 years old. I've been married with the love of my life for 4 years. Like I said, I'm very, very excited to be here, and I know there's someone out there that will be blessed through my testimony. I know there's people there that have gotten worse than me, but I think that we should not ignore the feeling for every woman out there that went through the same thing and how tough it is and how hard it is. And I just want to share how, because of God and His grace, I can find peace.
Yes.
And I can freely talk about this with no problem or any hard feelings towards God or towards myself or, my family members. So yeah, I'm very, very excited.
I'm glad that you're here, and I'm so hopeful for what God has in store for your life because it's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. So, first off, like I said, I wanted to thank you for joining me at the table and for having the courage to speak about this because this is a big deal. Your experience is a big deal with this, and I know that a lot of people, they suffer in silence. Mm-hmm. Yes. A lot of women, they go through these miscarriages. They go through this silent loss, and they don't talk about it. And just your bravery and your courage to even being here and being put out in the world is a big deal. So, but we've been on this journey of friendship for about 10 years.
Yes,
so
girl.
I knew you like in your single days when there was no Javier in the picture. And then I knew you when you met Javier, obviously. Mm-hmm. And Javier was a friend of mine as well on another corner of my life. And then they just Pamela and Javier just wound up joining together. And it was like the best thing ever. And then I was there. It was your matron of honor for your wedding. So I was there to experience that with you. And then, we've been together for every single stage in your life. So it's amazing. So I'm honored to have you in my life. But today, this episode is about you today. So I want you to speak to our listeners about your experience with silent loss, with miscarriages, and just go ahead and tell your story. Yeah. So go ahead.
Alrighty. So like I said, like Ceci said, I met her like long time ago. Yeah, Javier was my friend.
Yes.
That little boy. And the funny thing is, Ceci always told me, you always going to end up with Javier. I'm like, no, because I didn't like him at that time. But I know he loved me at that time. Well, the feelings grew and everything. We go out. We became boyfriend and girlfriend for 3 years. He proposed on my birthday. And we're 4 years married. We got married on March 15, 2014. Yes, I got married very young at 21. But he's older.
How old?
He was 3 years.
He's 3 years.
He's 3 years older than me. I had to do the math. Oh my God. So like I said, he was my first in every area of my life. As well as I'm his first girlfriend and everything. We got married, beautiful wedding, happy. And I was very young, so I didn't want to have kids so early. I was just 21, and I want to, enjoy my marriage, learn about Javier, discover his stuff, the same thing, vice versa. So, anyways, last year, I believe so.
Yeah.
July 13th. Oh no, I'm sorry. July. In June, I found out I was pregnant. But before that, let me give you a little background story. When we turned 3 years, actually, the same year. We started talking about when we're gonna have kids and stuff like that. And then at that time, I never used protection or anything like that. I was never getting pregnant. But it was because it was hard for us to actually, have intercourse pretty much. And I went to the doctors, and my husband the same way. They say everything is okay, just it takes time. But it was a little frustrating because I saved myself for marriage as well as my husband. Like I said, he's my first and I'm his first. And you, first of all, want to enjoy sex with your husband.
Yeah.
And explore this whole life and this whole intimacy with your husband, because you become one, the Bible says, when you get married. And so it was a little frustrated, but like I said, Javier never, how can I say this? Never blame me or I blame him, but it was a little frustrated with us because first of all, we want to enjoy it. And then we saw ourselves, 3-4 years later, not having no kids. And that was his dream, having a kid. And so one day I remember I cried to God and I said, you know what? I serve you. I pray over this. I saved myself for marriage. I selected a good husband, a good man. And I know he was going to be a great dad. Why you're not blessing me with either enjoying this part of marriage, and then I know because I don't have that part, it's going to be impossible for me to to have a kid. And I was praying to God and I didn't hear no answer. Until one day I really, really cried out. I really cried my heart out. And I started asking why to God. And God didn't answer either. And I remember I said, you know what, God, I'm not going to keep asking you. I'm just going to let things happen. I don't know if you're hearing me. I don't know if you're ignoring me. I don't know if you see my pain. I don't know if you see my desire. I don't know if you see what's going on, even though I know he sees everything.
Yeah.
But sometimes your mind and your what's it,
like your flesh.
My flesh took over. And that's one of the biggest problems we have. We get desperate and we don't wait on God. But again, I'm a human like anyone else.
Yes.
So anyways, we just keep doing it and stay calm and stop asking God why. I decided to stop asking why. And something very important that me and Javier learned is that a lot of people think having sex is very important in your marriage. Very important.
Yeah.
But you cannot base your relationship if you're not married. You cannot base your relationship and intimacy all the time.
Yes.
There's so much. Intimacy is not only sex. It's sharing a moment, sharing difficult times, sharing your dreams, sharing your desires. That's very intimate as well. And in that process, we grew in the area. So I remember me and Ceci, we were invited to preach at this church, this little church. And I was very surprised because I think is your cousin?
Yes, it's Anthony's aunt.
So I think I met her like twice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk and stuff like that, but it wasn't like where we're like intimate, you know?
Yeah.
And Ceci told me this, like, hey, they invite us to preach in this marriage.
It's a marriage. We got invited. We got invited to preach at a marriage conference.
I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? First of all these people in that church, I'm pretty sure they've been married longer than us together, combined. And
we were the youngest ones there.
Like, we were.
Yeah.
I was the youngest one.
Yeah.
I was
you
the
were
youngest.
the youngest one.
I was the youngest one.
But it was a great experience.
I love that church. What's that name, church?
Ecclesia.
Yes. Just
Yes.
in case, you know,
Just
they
in
didn't pay
case.
us. They didn't pay us for this.
They're not sponsoring
I know
this
they're
episode.
not. But it's I was blessed that day.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you why I was blessed that day.
Yeah.
So anyways, we were there and we were so nervous, and all I think is about, oh my God, how I can talk about marriage and all the aspect when I'm struggling in one part of my area.
Yep.
But I know it was from God because, trust me, I know it was from God. So Ceci and I got together. We planned everything. We were so excited. I was so excited. We preached. God moved there. There was people that were restored. It was just a fabulous moment, and we have like close friends. I think Tiffany was there with her husband.
Yes.
What was he since she was in this? Which one she recorded?
She was in episode 2. So you gotta listen to episode 2.
My girl Tiff for her husband, and then my grandma and my sister was there. So anyways, the service finished. I remember, and this old lady came to me. Be careful with those old ladies that pray. Pay attention.
Yes.
Those ladies are on fire. Anyway, so she came to me. She gave me a hug. She gave me a kiss. And she was like, in Spanish, of course, she was like, I'm so blessed that you're here. And she said hi to Ceci. But then she looked at me and she said, just prepare because next month you're going to be a mom. Okay. And, you know, I'm so respectful. I said, oh, amen, amen. Que así sea. Let it
whatever, like, let it be.
Whatever let it be. Whatever God wants.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember I went that day home and I took a shower and I cried. And I'm not a crier.
No, she is not a crier, people. Like, I'm serious.
I'm not a crier. And I cried myself out and I said, God, how dare you play with my feelings like that? I was just hurt. I was like, God cannot play. No way.
Yeah, because you were already having difficulty with your marriage and the intimacy part.
Yeah.
And then, you were, how am I going to make a family? How is this going to happen? And then this lady comes out of nowhere and says, get ready, you're going to be pregnant next month. Yeah.
Next month. I'm like, okay, I've been trying to practice this intimacy thing for 3 years. How is going to happen in a month?
Oh, Lord.
I know it's instant, but I was like, I remember I cried. I said, God, how dare you play with my feelings like this? I said, no, I do your will. I serve you. I do what you said. Trying to say everything good that you made, right?
Exactly.
And forget the bad things you do. And I said, God, no, how dare you? I was so pissed at God. I was very pissed. I think that's the first time I can say that I was mad at God.
Yeah.
Thank God he's a God of grace.
Yes.
And anyways, and the thing is that all this, it was by myself. Like my husband was not aware of this crier. And let me tell you something. Next month, on the dot, I remember I was feeling...
June or July?
So I got pregnant in June.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got pregnant. I found out I was pregnant in June.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So I got pregnant the month
in
before.
May. Mm-hmm.
I found out when I was like a month.
Yeah.
Like 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got pregnant by the month.
Wow.
And it just one day, I wake up one day and I was feeling weird. And I'm supposed to get my visitor.
Yeah, your monthly visitor.
My monthly visitor. And then I said, well, it's just one day. Sometimes it happens. But my spirit made me take a pregnancy test.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, at that first time, that's when I got pregnant. That's when I got pregnant.
That's insane.
That's amazing.
Yes.
You know, it sounds funny, but I know God healed me.
Yeah.
God healed me.
Yes.
God healed me. That's what it was. I didn't want to accept that I needed healing. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for what did I did wrong. Mm-hmm. That I offend you, God. Is it me? Mm-hmm. Is it him? Is it us? We're supposed to get married. Is it the right time? So my mind went all over crazy trying to find who to blame. Mm-hmm. But it's actually that I needed healing. Mm-hmm. That's what I needed.
Wow. So...
And I remember before everything happened in church, they were praying for healing, and I had to accept it. And I said, God, you know what? You're a God of power, and if whatever I have, you're gonna bless me. You're gonna heal me. And I remember a guy passed a lady. I think she put, she prayed for me and she declared healing, and I said I accept that healing. And I'm telling you, week after, I was healed. And It was so much joy. It's not about the whole, that we can do the whole thing full term, but it was because God did his thing, you know? And I can say that I enjoy my husband fully, and he can enjoy me. And God pleased himself on this.
Exactly.
Because God made sex to enjoy it, and through marriage.
Yes.
Through marriage, that's what we believe in and I believe in. And he wants you to enjoy. He don't want you to suffer. But like I said, that's another topic.
Yes.
So anyways, yeah, we went all full blown. We're enjoying it like we're honeymoon stage all over again. And let me go a little forward. So yeah, I was late like one day, and I was like, hey, possible like one time. People say it takes one time, but I'm like, no, impossible. Mm-hmm. And I took a pregnancy test. And I remember I went home and I bought one, and I feel so weird buying one. Yeah. I didn't know which one to get. Mm-hmm. Like, I was so clueless. And I went home and I took a pregnancy test, and I just stare at it, and I sit down, and it was positive, and a million things went through my mind. I said, God, you're so real. You don't lie. You're so good. Like, you healed me so fast, and this lady that came to me a month ago, it was exactly what she said. Like, I know that lady is from God, and I don't know what to say, what I felt that time. I was meeting stuff. I was sweating. I remember I was in my apartment alone. I didn't know what to say. I don't know what to think. I don't know if to pray. I don't know if to call my husband, and I was just out of it. I don't know what to feel. I don't know if it was happiness. I don't know what it was. And then I started thinking about Javier, how it's gonna be. I'm like, oh my God, this man is gonna die on me. He's gonna be so happy. So I remember, I'm like, I need to tell him fast. So I went ahead and I got like a little bag, and I went quickly to Family Dollar, and I bought some little shoes, and I put in a present bag. And then I remember, I know he was going home at 8, and I was nervous. I was waiting for him, and I record everything. And I show him, I say, hey, papi, take a look at that bag. And whoever saw the video, he couldn't believe it. He was crying. He couldn't believe it. He looked over of the like results, the little pregnancy test. And he was so happy. And we're so happy. And we just start, your life changes.
Yes.
So as a woman, you like, you get more empowered because, and this is a thing that we have wrong, that we think because we're becoming mom, we're more woman. And that's not true. That's not true. But at the same time, again, I didn't know. I felt like, oh my God, I couldn't do it. This lady came to me. She told me this. I actually got pregnant. This is God. And I felt so much peace. Javier was so happy. I couldn't sleep. I was just like going crazy. So, so everything was going good. I got like sick a little bit. It wasn't that much. Little DC, hungry a lot. So everything started changing. What are we going to do in 2 years? How are we going to save? Are we going to stay in this apartment? Your life changes completely. Yes. It's crazy. Like, you open your eyes one day and you know there's something inside of you, since that's the first thing that comes to your mind. And you just want to do the things right. And I said, God, oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Help me, you know. So anyways, that was June. And then July, I would say 13, I got sick. At my job, I got very sick, like sinus and cough, and very bad. And the next day I stood at my house. I said, my manager, I know I was pregnant. I couldn't take anything. I couldn't see my OBGYN the week after. And I said, let me just stay here. Let me relax. Let me drink water. Let me rest. And I remember I kind of like bleed a little bit. But I read that sometimes that can happen as well, because it can be all blood and stuff like that. And implantation as well. So I know it was normal. Yes. So I didn't freak out. I remember I told you, Ceci. Yeah. I called Ceci. I said, or text her. I said, hey, I'm bleeding. But she's like, no, just come down. And I called my OBGYN as well. And they told me, no, that's normal. Just keep an eye on it, because it wasn't bright red. Yeah. I'm just telling you how it is. Yeah. It wasn't bright red. Yeah. And then I remember the next day, at 6 o'clock, that's the time I wake up to go to work. I feel better from my sinuses, so I'm not just gonna go to work because I didn't have vacation days left. So I wake up, and when I went to use the restroom, the toilet, I saw blood, like very, very, very full, bright blood. Wow. And I was like, okay. And I'm a medical field, so I know
she's a medical assistant.
Yeah, so I know something wasn't right. So I remember at 6 o'clock, I wake up my husband. I said, we need to go to the hospital now. And he kind of freaked out. And I said, okay, just let's take it easy. And I remember while I was preparing, taking a shower, I said, God, just don't do this to me now. It's only been 6 weeks, and the thing is that I already told my family.
Yes. Yeah, you had already made the announcement.
I already did that announcement. Public. First, very public on Facebook. Yep. And to my family first, and then after that, everyone got so excited. And I was it was gonna be the first grandkids in both sides too. Yeah. So anyways, I got ready, and while I was doing it, taking a shower and stuff like that, I was like, God, you need to help me in this, because I don't know what to do now. Yeah. I thought that was the promise that you gave me.
Exactly.
So it's not only about that I was going to lose something. I was going to lose a promise that God gave me. That was my mentality. And we went to the hospital, and then I started having... You actually have contractions when you have a miscarriage, people. You actually do have contractions, because your body is trying to exit. And I started having a lot of pain. So I went to the hospital. They did, ultrasounds, everything that they do. And I called I think it was my mother-in-law, that my husband called, my mother-in-law, because he didn't know what to do, know. And my husband is very weak in that area. He doesn't like medical stuff. I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know what he's gonna do later.
That's a whole nother episode. We're gonna have a whole nother episode on Javier.
Just Javier.
Tito.
And then my mother-in-law said, I want a prayer as well. So he passed me the phone, and she started praying for me. She's like, Pamela, I'm gonna pray for you. And she started praying for me on the phone in the hospital. And my tears just kept dropping down. And while she was praying, I felt peace. And I accepted what was coming. And then after that, they did all the exam. We had to stay there 2 hours.
Wow.
Jesus Christ, thinking and thinking. And I just keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And the pain gets worse. And they didn't give me no medication. It was, Javier was so nervous. But he also calmed, you know. He didn't want to show that. And then my mother-in-law came very fast as well to the hospital. She's still with us. And we talk about stuff. And, you know, and try to keep our mind out. And then the doctor came. And she said, okay. And then she started asking me questions and stuff. And then she said, well, the results are in. And my heart, you know how it was, right? It was like a little raisin, you know? And I remember she said, okay, so we did the ultrasound. And it seems like it was a miscarriage. And I didn't cry at the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't cry at the beginning. I cried when I saw my husband's face and I saw my mother-in-law's face, and then it hit me like in the face, and that's when I started bursting in tears, and I was like, what? Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. And you know, the doctor, she was very nice. I remember her name was Kimberly, and she was like, don't blame yourself. And I was like, why she's telling me this at this moment? She's like, it's not your fault. Remember always that, she told me. Remember that it's not your fault, and don't blame yourself. And I was like, why she's telling me this? You know, I was crying and I was like trying to, you know, like trying to figure out my life now. Like, what's my life now? And after that as well, you have to do a follow-up as well, because they do blood tests for hormonal, you know, the levels and stuff. And she just sent me home, and I text Ceci. I said, do not call me. I'm not ready to talk to no one. Just text me. You need to text me.
Yeah.
And I went home, and my husband, I told him, just go straight. Just go to work, and if it gets worse, we'll go back into the hospital.
So they sent you home without doing anything?
No, because what they do is they expect you, because the fetus at that time, it was in my stomach. I did not spell it yet. So in the ultrasound, they saw the sac was disconnected, so it was dropping down. So once it's dropping down, that's it. The fetus died pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the source from the little placenta that they made. So they were looking for more blood in the actual fetus, you know. And because I didn't see no fetus when I used the restroom, I know it's still there, and I had to expel. You know, it had to come out, because you can die and get sick, you know. So I didn't want my husband to be there thinking about stuff. So I said, just go to work, and if anything, I call you. So they didn't give me no pain medications, and I was having pain every 5 minutes, and I just bleed, and the pain get worse, and the bleeding got worse. So I didn't want to call no one at that moment. I didn't want to call my husband. I didn't want to call no one. I was by myself. I remember, and thank God my mother-in-law called me. She called me and she said, "You're not right. You're I know you're not okay. Let's go to the hospital," without me telling her.
Yeah.
So she came to pick me up with my father-in-law, and I just looked at them and I cried again. And they're like, "It's okay, Pamela. It's okay." And I called my husband Raj, and then I went again to the hospital. They did everything again, and the baby was not there no more. They just saw the little trace. They call the trace like of the where he or she was.
Yeah.
But they didn't find no baby, and they asked me if they found anything in the paper when I cleaned myself or in the toilet, and I said no, I didn't see anything because there was so much blood. So, you know, when they did everything, they told me, yeah, Pamela, the baby's not there no more. And I remember I cried like a baby. And then when my husband came in, and he just looked at me, and we already know what happened. Yeah. And he cried. My husband is not a crier either, so it was pretty intense. Yeah. And I remember he called his brother, Angelito. And he couldn't talk to him, so he passed it to me. And I cried too. Angelito cried too. We just stood silence, and then he cried. Alexandra, his sister.
Mm-hmm.
I also called my parents. I'm sorry, I called my parents as well. My sister came down to see me to the hospital as well. And I tried to be strong with my sister, and I didn't want to cry. I refused to cry in front of my sister.
Yeah.
But when my dad came in, that's when I burst in tears. And I didn't want him to see him because I feel so embarrassed. And I remember I gave him my back to him. And I said, I don't want to talk right now. So he didn't talk. He just gave me a kiss. And he said, it's going to be okay. It's a little angel now going to heaven, you know? And my husband tried to like laugh and make the best out of it. But I know he was hurt as well. And then after that, I remember when I get out of the room, in the triage in the hospital, that my family was there waiting, and they didn't know what to say. They didn't say anything. They just stared at me and walked me down. And I got home, and they gave me some pills and, explain everything. And then I had to come back in 2 days to do another blood test to make sure the numbers dropped. Yeah. If they dropped, there's no baby. If they were up, then they have to check if they have to do DNC. Is when they go in and they scratch, like literally take everything out. Okay. But because I was not that advanced, it was very weird that it will happen. So they give me some pills so I can clean myself up, and they say you're gonna bleed like for maybe 2-3 weeks. Wow. Yeah, and you're gonna feel pain as well because your body is expelling everything out. And I remember that night, I slept, but when I wake up, I feel so empty because something of me is bye-bye, and I never gonna know if it was a she or it was a he, or I start thinking like if it was gonna be a mama's boy or a daddy's girl, or how he or she was gonna look like me or his dad, how is she or he is gonna talk, or just imagine life pretty much. It was tough, and I did cry. And I'm more by myself. I stay aside from a lot of people. I just want to have understanding why this happened, and to have healing, and say, God, you know what, take this away from me, because it's nobody's fault. Because you start feeling guilt. You start feeling like you're not a woman enough. You start feeling like this is the end of your life. That how can this happen to me again? Plus, it will be different that it happened but nobody told me. But after God healed me, a prophet came to me, told me it was going to happen. It did happen by the day. And then I said, God, you take this away from me. How dare you? Yeah. First of all, everything that God gave us is not ours, it's His. Exactly. And I remember, again, I was taking a shower. And
those are the best.
Those are the best. You're alone. I was taking a shower. I said, God, can you tell me why? Why you have to send someone to let me know this? Like, why can't it just be, it happened. But when a prophet comes to you and they tell you that, and then it happened, because it did happen. She did her job. She didn't lie. Yeah. She didn't tell me this was going to happen. Yeah. Because God didn't tell her that. And God told me, it's so you're fertile. So you're able to have kids. Wow. He didn't tell me when it was going to be the next time. He didn't tell me what I did wrong. Because you start seeing, what did I do wrong? That I slept wrong? That I ate wrong? That I carried this wrong? That so many stuff go through your mind as a woman, that you don't know what to think. And so it kind of like been a process. It's been a year. A year? Yeah. Yeah. It's been a year. Wow. And a month. And yeah, it's something that you will never forget. So don't try to forget. Try to heal when you think about it. Try to say, wow, that was a moment that I went through that. And one day when your next kids grow up, they're going to find out there's someone up there in heaven that when we all go to heaven, they can play together. And there's that extra family member that we can just not wait to meet. So yeah, that's my story from there. And a lot of people don't say that, but after that, I told my husband, you know what? If we're gonna do our thing, having a baby cannot be the first thing on my mind.
Yeah.
Because if you want to try to have a baby and you get your menstrual cycles every month, you even fear that you're pregnant and you buy pregnancy tests.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's because I did it so many times.
Yeah. My
period got behind like a week, 2 weeks, and I got my period. And I was never irregular all my life. I've been regular. And it was tough. It was tough. It was a disappointment. But I was hurting myself. Trying to make these things happen when I don't have control over it. And then after that miscarriage, I think months after my cycle went normal again, very fast. It went quick because I'm so regular. I think I did pregnant again. I think I got pregnant again. I think it was by the time of the hurricane that happened here.
It was because I remember it was September 11th.
Remember?
When Hurricane Irma came through Central Florida.
And I think I told you, I said, Sissy, I think I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And Sissy's like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's just relax. The thing is that I was not looking for it.
Yeah.
You remember, right?
Yep.
And you was scared. Sissy was like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah, because as your friend,
yeah.
And, you know, I just didn't want neither of us to have our hopes. And it wasn't that I didn't have hope. It was, I just wanted to be careful and sensitive to the situation because you had your miscarriage in July and it was like, it was devastating, not only for you guys, but, you know, for your family and for me and my family, because we're part of your family. So, you know, it was just, and we just wanted to make sure that, you know, let's take it slow. Let's make sure that this is how, you know, just, it's like baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. And I remember I took pregnancy tests and it was slightly positive. And I showed it to my husband. My husband was like, what? I'm like I have all the symptoms. I'm behind like 2 weeks. And then by a couple of days after, I got my period again. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah.
And from there, I stopped thinking about it. I really did, honestly. I said, God, whenever you want, is it your will? Whenever you want to bless us with this, we're just going to accept it whenever it is.
Yeah.
And we left it at that. You know, we enjoy life together and we didn't feel pressure to have one. And I feel comfortable around holding a baby, being around baby, and not even think about it, you know, just, you know, being whenever it happens.
Yeah.
So, you know, it took me a time. And again, I'm never gonna forget that. And I'm never gonna minimize that pain that I have.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Pamela, because I know that you had your miscarriage when you had various people around you who were pregnant. Yes. And I want you to just like briefly tell me your experience with that, because I know that was hard for you, and that's something that we spoke about, and I had to get it out of you because you're so strong. And I remember that day that I was just like, man, should I ask her? But I was like, you know what? Let me just ask her, because like, why not? Because we're so real with each other already. And I asked her, I was like, Pamela, how do you really feel? And this is recent, like after her miscarriage. I asked her, like, Pamela, how do you really feel right now? Like, how are you feeling? Because you have all of
me that.
Yeah, no one asked you. no one.
I think nobody
dares.
Exactly.
But because I'm so close to you, I was like, let me go there, because maybe that was something that you were holding inside, and you were just you were. If nobody would have asked you, you probably would have held it inside and forever. And you know me, I want to know. So I was like, how do you feel? You know, knowing that you had this miscarriage, and these people around you are pregnant. You know, they're pregnant and they're due soon. Like, you know, how were at the same time? So how were you able to cope with that?
Well, Yeah, there were a lot of people pregnant, especially in Facebook. It's your worst enemy.
Yes.
And those people were not that close to me, but I met them and I know them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they just keep popping, like puppies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you feel jealousy.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't see it that way. Maybe you feel, oh my God, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? Why can't they just keep it to themselves? But if it hurts you, disconnect.
Yes.
If you know it's through Facebook, don't watch Facebook.
Exactly.
If you just don't do it. It's not that you're gonna decline every baby that it is, but if it's your time for healing, stay away.
Exactly.
Stay away until you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Stay away until God heals that part of you, because I know the man or the husband or your partner, whatever it is, I know they suffer.
Yeah.
But you go physically.
Mm-hmm.
You go emotionally, physically. You're the first one who find out that you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of women that pass through miscarriage and they don't tell their partners.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep that to themselves and nobody knows about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so blessed that, I have close friends, and I'm so blessed that, I have a husband that support me through it. But I know a lot of people that went through it by themselves, and I can only imagine how painful it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I recommend you be free.
Yeah.
Tell someone that you, it doesn't have to be your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But tell someone, because there's freedom when you let go.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to learn how to manage and accept it. That's the first thing. I had to accept that it's not that person's fault. Second of all, that happens to many people.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty common, but just because it's common, that doesn't mean that it's not painful.
Exactly.
And
good. That's good.
And just accept it, and it's your process.
2 Bible verses I wanted to kind of read is the Bible says in Luke 1:45, "Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her."
Mm-hmm.
And that verse to me is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I put that verse on you because you know what was promised to you.
Yes.
And you believed it.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that don't know
me,
go ahead and tell the world.
Well, right now I'm 6 months pregnant with a little girl.
Yes.
And let me tell you, it was by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was very private about it.
Yeah.
I was very private. I held it for 3 months.
Yes.
And I told my husband, if I could hold it all the way, I would do it all the way. Something that I learned. Moments like that, you don't need to share it with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You can. It's something that you share with your husband, with your spouse, with your partner, with your close friends and your family members. It's something that you guys share together, and you don't need to share with the world. I take advantage in every moment that I have so many mixed emotions. I don't know what to feel, honestly. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited, and then I'm scared, and then I'm like, is it love? Do I want it? Do I want it?
Yeah.
It's very, you're always on edge at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was always on edge. Because a miscarriage can happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, because of my history,
mm-hmm.
you're triple
yes.
careful. Because I couldn't sleep at the beginning, Ceci.
Yeah.
I was just, anything that I felt worried me. Everything stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And God doesn't want you to live like that.
Exactly.
He gave you a promise. He's gonna,
mm-hmm.
he's
gonna, complete it.
He's gonna complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And I cry. I did cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my husband told me, "Do you want me to leave you alone?" I said, "Yes, please."
Yeah. And
I cried by myself. And next day, I wrapped it up quickly, and I said no. And I walked like everything is gonna be okay. I can say now that everything is going great.
Wow.
I'm definitely pregnant.
Yes.
Jesus Christ,
She looks
it,
people.
And I'm so blessed, and my family is so blessed, and my husband is so happy, and I just enjoyed every moment. Mm-hmm. And again, this baby will never replace the first one. Yes. Ever. Mm-hmm. Ever. I had one I never met, and I have my second one. This is my second baby. Yeah. And that's how I name it all the time. And that's not because I'm living in the past. Mm-hmm. Let me put that clear. I'm not living in the past. But I'm recognizing that moment that I had, and I cannot erase it. Mm-hmm. And now my second baby that I have now, I will meet her. I'm going to meet her, and I'm going to live with her. And the first baby that I have did his purpose in my life, or
her purpose, his or her. We don't
know. We don't know. In my life, and it changed me, and it transformed me, and it made me see life different.
Pamela, last thing before we wrap it up. For those women out there that are still going through infertility issues, who had miscarriages, who are currently going through that silent loss, what can you tell them to encourage them, so that they can continue on?
So the first thing is that don't blame yourself, please. Don't blame yourself. If you decide the baby, there's nothing, if you really wanted that baby, you're not going to do anything to harm them. So don't blame yourself. Don't minimize your pain. Accept what happened. And like I told Ceci earlier, motherhood does not determine how woman you are. Mm-hmm. Okay? And just because you cannot have kids, there's women that cannot have kids. Yeah. And there's no response to it. There's no answer. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, God. And no. Mm-hmm. I'm not God. Yep. I'm not anyone to tell them, they did something wrong or they're being punished by God. Yeah. No, please. God is not a God like that. Mm-hmm. But like I said, motherhood does not determine how much woman you are. It only tells the mom in you. Yeah. So don't blame yourself. Take your time. Take care of your health as well. If you're having problems, see a doctor. Don't be ashamed. See a doctor. There's many women that go through it, and be open about it. And if you're listening to this and you're not a Christian or not a believer, look for someone that can help you. A counselor, or usually a psychologist can help you. Mm-hmm. A therapist, they're very good, and I recommend it to everyone. I did not have that, and I wish I would think about it at that time. Mm-hmm. But thank God I have, close friends and God and me that it helped me through it. But if you're not a believer, it's okay. Just look someone that can help you, and you can go through it. So just take it little by little, and have people around you that support you. That's very important. Don't let people talk to you down and tell you what to do, and just ignore what's negative and take whatever is positive.
That's good. Well, thank you, Pamela. It's such an honor, and I'm so proud of you. And things happen in our lives that we don't understand, and God always sees the big pictures in our life. Yes. And I'm so grateful to be part of your life, and now we get to experience your baby girl. Thank you so much for joining me at the table again. I appreciate your friendship, and I am so excited for what God is doing and has done in your life. So make sure to follow Pamela on Facebook and Instagram. You can look up her name, Pamela Bultron. Pamela Bultron, because if I spell out her Instagram, it has a bunch of underscores and a bunch of nonsense.
I don't remember. I can't
it's like Pame. I don't know. So usually I have my special guest spell out there, but I don't even think she knows.
I think I don't even know
what it is.
Just put my name.
Just put Pamela Bultron so you can also see, and be updated on her life. And also, I'm just gonna put him out there, but her husband Javier, he takes photography. So
just in case,
right? We were talking about this earlier. Yes. So If you want like a good photographer for anything, or you know, just kind of like maybe DM Pamela and then follow Javier, Javi Images. So he's out there too. So you go ahead and check out his pictures because they're really good. So thank you all for tuning into Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcomed to the table. Please continue to spread the word and subscribe. If there is a topic that you would like for me to cover in the future, please do not hesitate to message me on Instagram or Facebook with your requests. And stay tuned for a very special guest that will be joining me at the table for next Monday's episode 6. Bye!